Hi, my name is Akufo-Addo. I'm a business strategy consultant and a data specialist. If you've been following my channel, I've been talking about data science, data analysis, especially. The last video, I introduced Power BI as a tool to be used for data science. In subsequent videos, I'll be doing a lot on Power BI, which is the tool I prefer and I recommend to everyone because it's the best tool for analysis currently. So I'll be taking you through how to build reports and dashboards and how the tool works in my subsequent videos. So watch out for those videos. In this particular video, I go back to storytelling. I always tell people that in the world that we are now, your ability to communicate is very important. You may know something, but if you don't communicate it well, it may not actually tell the story as it's supposed to. So, you're welcome. And today we are going to tell a story. I've done videos concerning the election analysis. You can check out the old videos, old two videos on election or storytelling. In today's video, I'll be telling the story from 1992 to 2016, how our parties are fared in Ghana. This video is specifically made for my Ghanaian viewers. So if you don't know about Ghana's election, you may have to read a little bit about it and get more information about Ghana. So we're analyzing Ghana's elections from 1992 to 2016. There's been 7 elections in all. About 16 parties competed in the different parties competed in the 7 elections. I'll go through all the years and the dynamics, look at the breakdowns, the trends, and the change in performance over the years, and some useful insights that we can draw. My focus is not about the elections, my focus is on the storytelling with the data. So I'll not dive too much deeper into the election dynamics, but I'll be concentrating on what the data is telling us using visuals. I'm using visuals to tell my story so uniquely. So let's dive into the report. Okay, so in my summary, I'm saying that I've selected 92. Number of parties that competed were 5. Total popular votes were 3.98 million. And you can see NDC led. That's why their image is the biggest, followed by MPP, PHP, I think MPNC, NIPN, PHP. Wow, that's a computer language. If you look left here, you can search by party. Let's say NPP. Search. And only MPP comes. So you can clear the filter and it goes. Also over here, you can see NDC, MPP, PNC. So for 92 that I've selected, out of the 3.98 popular votes, NDC won with 2.3 million votes. NPP is followed by 1.2, PNC 0.3, NIP 0.1 million. I think it's runoff, so you might not see, but that's the details of what they actually got. Virtually less than one around 113 and one around 69,000. And when you come here, you see how the regions voted. So in all the 10 regions, as at the time the votes, this year we might have 16 regions, which will change the dynamics. So we have upper east, I should think so, yeah. With 201,946, that's upper east for you. So that's 201,000. That's upper west, 129,000. Let's see, Ashanti 712. You see, my dashboard is very interactive. So whatever I select, you see it changing all over the space, also filling to a certain level. Okay, so this is our dashboard. So in 92, 3.98 million people voted. 5 parties competed. You can see them here. NDC led, followed by MPP, and you can see the performance and how the regions voted. I think from the size of the bubbles, you can tell that mainly, I think Ashanti had the most based on the size. All right. So that is about 92. Let's move to 96. The dynamics changes. 3 parties contest in 96, a total of 7.15 million. That's a huge jump from the 3.9 something million that we saw. You'd want to find out why this increases. It would be interesting. But what is more interesting is see the regional dynamics also changes. So Eastern voted a lot, Ashanti voted a lot, Central, Eastern, Greater Accra to its big, rather. So these 2 regions, Greater Accra and Ashanti. So NDC again led, MPP following, and PNC between 3 parties. Let's look at 2000. I normally only give the first round. There are sometimes runoffs, but I'm only analyzing based on the first round. Number of parties, 7 parties, so there's an increase from the 3. Then total popular votes, you see a drastic reduction after 4 years. That's strange. MPP leads with 3.0 million. You can see here with President John Akufo-Addo's picture and ex-president John Evans, the late John Evans Atamil's prof. Then he trailed the MPP flag bearer, and the other parties are around it. As usual, Ashanti led in terms of voting, followed by Greater Accra. We'll look at that dynamics in the trends and the breakdown. But for now, let's look at the summaries. So in 2004, wow, another increase. President Kufuor, 4.6 million. Ex-President John Evans Atamils did 3.8, so he beat him the second time. 4 parties competed, and that's 2004. Let's look at 2008. Let me see, 2004, 8.74, 2008, 8. So there's a drop. Wow, we've seen some interesting insights. We'll drill down into that. So in the first round, Akufo-Addo led, followed by John Evans Atamils. Regional breakdowns, you see clearly Ashanti always leading. Practically, that's the first round, but after the second round, President John Evans Atamils won. That's dynamics will be actually also analyzed in my future videos. Then let's see in 2012, President John Mahama won, and Akufo-Addo trailed 11.01 million votes. 8 parties contested. Now the parties are becoming so much. As usual, it seems that there are pop-ups. Western is doing well. Eastern is also growing. Central, Greater Accra, the rest are trailing. Then in 2016, President Akufo-Addo takes over. Wow, sudden drop in President Mahama's votes. The whole election, as compared to 2012, there's been a drop in popular votes. Wow. We'll look at that dynamics, how the popular votes have been changing over the period since 92 and what that means to the country. Now let's do some breakdown analysis. So let's break down. All right. So in our breakdown, we have total vote cast being 56 million since since 92. So let's start again. So we are going to do a breakdown. So out of this, let's see how the regions voted. So Ashanti leads in 7 elections with a total of 11 million votes, followed by Greater Accra, followed by Eastern and Western. So majority of the votes are from Ashanti, Greater Accra, Eastern, and probably Western. And a little bit of Brown Ahafo is not doing bad. Now let's look at Ashanti per party. Majority of the votes goes to the MPP party, NDC trailing with PNC. Now let's break it down further into candidates. President Akufo-Addo, President Kufuor, and Aduboahin. President Akufo-Addo has had the most votes, maybe because he's the one that stood elections the most. Let's see by year. So consistently from 2008, 2012, 2016, he's been increasing in the Ashanti votes. Let's look at President Kufuor. That's from 827 to 950 to 140. He also increased, especially between 2000 and 2004. Wow. Now let's look at the NDC in Ashanti, how that spans. So President John Evans Tamils had the most votes in Ashanti, maybe because he stood election for. Let's look at how the breakdowns. So 2000, he improved in 2004 and improved in 2008. Let's look at President John Mahama. Wow, the opposite. In 2012, he did 612, but in 2016, he dropped. It'll be interesting to find out why. Then Papa Jerry also increased from 92 to 96. So it was only President John Mahama that decreased in terms of Ashanti's votes. Let's look at the Greater Accra. Okay, the NDC leads, followed by MPP. Per candidate, Professor John Evans Tamils did the most votes, maybe because of the number of times he stood for elections. Let's look at his votes pattern. So he kept increasing in Greater Accra. Let's look at President John Mahama. He kept decreasing. That's some trend, both in Ashanti and Greater. So 92, 96, an increase. Let's look at Eastern. MPP leads in the Eastern region in terms of votes for all the years. Let's look at the candidate, President Akufo-Addo. So he's also been increasing 2008, 2012. President John Kufuor has also been increasing. Let's look for the NDC, John Evans Tamils. Was increasing, though very slight increase. Let's look at President Mahama. There was a decrease, 2012, decreased to 2016. Since the pattern shows that President John Mahama decreased, at least for the 3 regions we've seen, and that's a pattern we'll have to investigate and find out what is happening. Let's see Western, and maybe Volta will be the last one. So let's start. So in Western, NDC tops the vote. That's more like the Greater Accra votes for the past 7 elections. So President John Dramani Mahama leads, unlike Ashanti that President John Evans Tamils led for the NDC the number of times. So in 2012, 2016, his vote goes down from 582 to 21 to 455. Let's see for John Evans Tamils. Kept increasing. And Papa Jerry also increased. Let's look for the MPP. Okay. There was a consistent increase in President Akufo-Addo's votes. So that's about it. Let's look at probably Volta region, the last one. And so NDC, MPP, a huge gap. Let's see, for the NDC, John Evans Atamil's votes are a lot in the Volta region. So consistently, there was an increase. Let's look at John Dramani Mahama. 2012, 2016, there was a drop. So consistently, there were drops in votes for President John Mahama from 2012 to 2016. Let's look at the northern region. Perhaps maybe we may see some different dynamics. NDC leads with northern region votes with President John Mahama leading. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, so in the northern, it seems the only outline in terms of seeing an increase for President John Mahama. Let's see, for it was increased 2000, 2004, and 2008. Let's look at the MPP. There was an increase consistently for President Akufo-Addo. Also an increase for President John Ajekunkufo. Let's look at voter for, I think I didn't do voter for MPP. Consistent increase. Also for President Kufuor. All right, we'll go and investigate why the trend of decrease was especially for candidate or President John Dramani Mahama over the period, whilst all others see increases. Let's go for the trend analysis. All right. So these are some of the trends. Let's look at the trend. Okay. So trend analysis. Over the period from 92 to 96, we see like the vote patterns. Virtually Ghana has been voting two-party state kind of. So the first two parties has always been a blue or the NDC, MPP or an NDC. Look at how the regions vote. So this is Ashanti is the blue, followed by Greater Accra, followed by green is Eastern, and the wine is Eastern. Green is what? Volta. Volta started as the number 4 in 92, but as of now is the last but 2. Wow. So Volta seems, as a comparison to the entire country, voters' vote has been dropping. We might have to investigate and find out why that is happening. But apart from these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last 2 is always Upper East and Upper West. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll say that they keep changing in terms of their percentage to the total population. Wow, who was this? Northern now is number 4. It's majority increase in elections since especially 2004. So in 2008, Northern has been increasing in votes. Brown Hafo increased and then came down again. Let's look at Western. Fairly up and down, up and down. So it'll be interesting to see how those swing votes change the dynamics. Then you can see President Akufo-Addo has the most votes, maybe because of. So we can look at it from the MPP side. So MPP's votes keeps, okay, let's look at the national vote. So you see down, up, down, up, down, up, down. What is happening? After a change of government, 92, In 96, election increases. It's probably understood because of how 92 elections were. Then in 2000, there's a decrease in total vote cast, generally, as a nation. And in 2000, we saw that there was a change in government. 2004, there was an increase again. 2008, there was a decrease. Then there was a change in government. 2012, there was an increase. The government was not changed. In 2016, a decrease. So it looks like every time there is a decrease in popular votes, there's a change in government as compared to the previous year. It'll be interesting how 2020 pans out. It seems to me, per this pattern, data analysis per pattern, if electorates vote more than in 2016, there's likely to be a maintaining the current party. However, if there's maybe apathy in voting, then the ruling party will suffer the consequences. Let's look at each party and how they fared. So NDC now up, down, lost elections, up, but still lost. Won here was the up because there was a change of government. So NDC came up, then came up again because they won, but dropped and lost. So the incumbent lost votes here. It's quite interesting. The incumbent also lost votes here, but in 2008 he was not an incumbent, so he actually gained votes and won. Okay, interesting. So the change of government means that the incumbent will lose some votes. The same here will lose some votes. Okay, it'll be interesting to see. Let's see how the various regions voted. So you have Ashanti voter as the lead, not surprising, but interestingly, since 2016, we saw there that voters' percentage as a of the percentage of the entire country has been decreasing. So now they rank the second highest votes for the NDC, followed by, so Greater Accra now leads, followed by Volta. Volta used to lead. Then you see, who is here? Ashanti being fourth. So Ashanti has been dazzling up and down. But let's look. There's Ashanti. This one is Northern. Interesting. We saw that dynamics. Northern is now third for NDC. Let's look at MPP. So this is MPP. So first look at the general trend. Down, up, still lost. Up and won. Up and won. Down and lost. So there's a trend. Anytime they lose, the incumbent loses votes. Whilst the party that took over gains some votes. We have to find out, is it voter party or people are switching camps? But for the fact that his own people are not voting, maybe apathy, or then 2012 they increase, yet lost. So it may be an issue of apathy. Then 2016 increases and won because he was not in power. So an increase or a decrease may not necessarily, but when you are in power and you decrease, that is when you lose votes, like you lose elections. So what is accounting for the decreases is what everybody, and in general, elections in that government were toppled shows that there's a general decrease in the total vote. That's why my hypothesis is that there is some apathy. Because it's not as if there is a general increase, but there is an increase. So as the other party got more of the other party's voters. But it seems that there is a general decrease. So the other party increases, but the incumbent rather reduces. It's quite interesting. So let's look at the region. Ashanti has been consistent, followed by Greater Accra, Eastern. So at least 3 regions for MPP has been consistent in terms of the numbers or their percentages of the total votes. And the interesting one here is Brown-Hafo, who has consistently increased from last but 2 or so to now 4th position, followed by Western. Western has been doubling up and down. Interesting dynamics here. Now let's look at probably a change in performance. So how they've changed prior to previous years. Let's look at this, change in performance. So let's look at, this is 7 December 1992. There's no change in performance because the previous year, 4 years, was not there. Then we have 96, MPP gained the most change. You can see clearly here. NDC also gained, and the most changes were in which regions? Let's see, Volta, well, and Upper West. Interesting. Then let's look at 2000. MPP gained. So let's look at the popular vote, 7.15, and reduces. The entire country's popular vote reduces. However, the party that took over increases its votes. And then the incumbent, which is NDC, reduced by almost 30%. That's strange. Then 2004, they all increase. So, like, my hypothesis is where there is a change in government, total votes would decrease. The party that is supposed to win would increase its votes, but the party that is the incumbent will decrease its vote. But the total votes would decrease, which means that it's not somebody necessarily getting the votes of the other, but people staying not to vote per se, and maybe also influencing their members to vote. That would be a hypothesis that would have to be tested. In 2008, let's see, similar dynamics. MPP lost by 9.75% votes. This is even the first round. And NDC grew by 6.4%. Let's look at another change here. So MPP gains 9.46, NDC loses 13% in terms of votes. Let's look at it with some clarity. Okay, so let's look at NDC. So this is percentage changes. So wherever they change drastically, like a negative change, like in 7 December 2020, as well as in 2016, they lost votes. That's President John Evans Tamils. Let's drill down and see. So that is his first 2012-20. So he dropped votes in 2012 to 2016, and that's perhaps why elections were lost. So it's interesting insight. Generally, let's look at even the years. So there's a net decrease by the NDC, a net gain in 2008 where they won, and in 2016 there's a net decrease. So it's been consistent. It's like you lose some of your electorates when you're about to lose government, like government is about to change over. All right, let's look at the MPP and probably call it day. So it lost the seat of government in 2008. They lost votes, although the general voter population also reduced. So it'll be interesting to drill further and find out why that, which regions are actually driving this change. I think we can do that. Let's look at the NDC and let's look at a particular year that they lost. So let's look at, so this is 2000, year 2000, you can see here. So almost all the regions, they lost some votes. Almost all the regions. So let's look at when they won in, or when another government was changed, which was they winning in 2008. You see, there's an increase apart from vote and powers. But the general trend was that there was an increase in their vote as compared to the previous 4 years. So let's look at MPP too. So in 2000, they won. Oh, this MPP. Yeah. Let's look at 2000. So in 2000, there was an increase and they won. In 2008, let's check if there was a decrease. Sure, there was a decrease over the period. Like generally, apart from these 4 regions, even in their stronghold, which is Ashanti, they reduced. But they increased, but the general trend was a decrease. That's how come they lost. And let's look at NDC maybe in 2016 also. So generally they lost in all regions apart from the north, and a net decrease of 13.87. So you can run your own inferences. The next time we'll drill deeper into why these dynamics and who is influencing the elections. And perhaps if you have data on the constituents, you can send them to me. I would add my email address in the bio so as I can run some numbers and tell the story. But in my next episodes, I'll be taking you to how to build such dashboards. Thank you for your time. My name is Ebenezer Akufo-Addo. I'm a business strategy consultant and a data specialist. Bye.